The Peasenhall murder is a notorious unsolved murder committed in Peasenhall, Suffolk, England, on the night of the 31st of May 1902. The house where the murder occurred can be found in the center of the village, on the opposite corner to Emmett's store. It is a classic, unsolved country house murder, committed near midnight, during a thunderstorm, and with many ingredients of mystery. Murder. The victim was Rose Harsent, a servant girl, who was found by her father at the bottom of the stairs leading to the servants' quarters. She was lying in a pool of her own blood, throat-cut gashes on her shoulders and stab wounds. Her nightdress was burned and parts of her body charred as if someone had attempted to set fire to her remains. She'd been dead for 6 hours. She was unmarried but at her autopsy, found to be 6 months pregnant. The police originally thought it was suicide, but, after investigation, local Primitive Methodist lay preacher William Gardner was arrested and tried twice in 1902 and 1903. It was alleged that Gardner was the father of the unborn child. It was well known among the locals that he had conducted an affair with the victim in 1901. Gardner also held a position of some prominence in his employment as a foreman at the local seed drill works, Smiths of Peasenhall. He lived in the main street of Peasenhall with his wife and 6 children, in a small semi-detached cottage, within sight of Providence House where the murder was committed. Investigation and aftermath. The police investigated the murder and Gardner was quickly arrested. He was tried twice at Ipswich. The first trial was presided over by Sir William Grantham, the second by Sir John Compton Lawrence. At each trial, Gardner was prosecuted by Henry Fielding Dickens and defended by Ernest Wilde. Both times the jury was unable to reach a verdict. It was said that at the first trial the jury was split 11-1 in favor of guilty, and the second 11-1 in favor of not guilty. Evan Edwards was the only member of the jury saying not guilty at the first trial. Was there a connection? Since 1974, a single juror's dissent does not prevent the jury from returning a majority verdict, but at the time it did. The prosecution then issued a writ of null prosequi. This was distinct from the usual process of a formal acquittal. The consequence of this is that Gardner is one of the few people in English history to have been tried for murder and to have no verdict ever returned. Gardner died in 1941. As he had not been found either innocent or guilty, he was never formally acquitted, and he had remained under a cloud of suspicion up to and following his death. This case was examined in an episode of BBC One's Julian Fellowes Investigates, A Most Mysterious Murder. Fellowes concluded that the murder was perpetrated by Gardner's wife, probably due to jealousy. He also speculated that the wife would have confessed if her husband had been convicted. Popular culture. The story, Blind Man's Hood by John Dickson Carr provides a fictional explanation of the killing. Sources: Robert Church, Murder in East Anglia, A New Look at Notorious Cases, Robert Hale, 1987, ISBN 0-7090-2963-2, pages 57-75. Edwin Packer, The Peasenhall Murder, Yo Oxford Publications, 1980, ISBN 0-907265-01-4. Aldred, David L., Rose of Peasenhall, Ipswich, East Anglian Magazine, Volume 40, 1981. Bresler, Fenton, The Choir Master's Ordeal, Sunday Express, the 26th of May 1968. Cooper, Brian, Genesis 38, London, Heinemann, 1964. Fictionalized treatment. Dickens, Sir Henry F., Reminiscences, London, Heinemann, 1934. Fido, Martin and Keith Skinner, The Peasenhall Murder, Stroud, Alan Sutton, 1990. Freeman, R. Austin, ed. Great Unsolved Crimes, London, Hutchinson, 1935. Futter, R. H., The Peasenhall Murder, Ipswich, East Anglian Magazine, Volume 14, 1955. Gladstone, Reverend H. H., The Unsolved Mystery of Peasenhall, Ipswich, East Anglian Magazine, Volume 24, 1964. Goodman, Jonathan, ed. The Country House Murders, London, W. H. Allen, 1987. Henderson, William, The Trial of William Gardner, Notable British Trial Series, London and Edinburgh, William Hodge, 1934. Jobson, Alan, An Hourglass on the Run, London, Michael Joseph, 1959. Jobson, Alan, The Peasenhall Murder, Suffolk Fair Magazine, Volume 2, 1972. Jobson, Alan, Something of Old Suffolk, London, Robert Hale, 1978. Kingston, Charles, Famous Judges and Famous Trials, London, Stanley Paul, 1923. Lambton, Arthur, Echoes of Causes Célèbres, London, Hurst and Blackhead, 1931. Logan, Guy B. H., Guilty or Not Guilty? London, Stanley Paul, 1928. Parrish, J. M. and J. R. Crossland, eds. The 50 Most Amazing Crimes of the Last 100 Years, London, Hot Ams, 1936. Pemberton, Max, ed. The Great Stories of Real Life, London, Nunes, 1924. Reeves, Marshall, Suffolk Village Mystery, Master Detective Magazine, June 1987. Rowland, John, The Peasenhall Mystery, London, John Long, 1962. Shue, Edmund Spencer, A Second Companion to Murder, London, Castle, 1960. Smith Hughes, Jack, 8 Studies in Justice, London, Castle, 1953. Villiers, Elizabeth, Riddles of Crime, London, Werner Laurie, 1928. White, R. J., The Women of Peasenhall, London, Macmillan, 1969. Fictionalized Treatment. Wilkes, Roger, An Infamous Address, London, Grafton, 1989. Wilson, Colin, The Mammoth Book of True Crime, London, Robinson, 1988. See also List of unsolved murders. References. Bibliography. Robert Church, Murder in East Anglia, A New Look at Notorious Cases, Robert Hale, 1987, ISBN 0-7090-2963-2, pages 57-75. Caroline Munn, Julian S. Webb, Lawyering Skills and the Legal Process, 2nd ed., Cambridge University Press, 2005, ISBN 0-521-61950-5, pages 357-360. Edwin Packer, The Peasenhall Murder, Yo Oxford Publications, 1980, ISBN 0-907265-01-4.